Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Karan Rose.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Digipreneur FM podcast. And folks, man, I gotta let this music run just a few more seconds. Man, today's episode is going to be, it's gonna be fun. I want to have a discussion on my first thoughts on this big announcement from Facebook. I feel like over the last 24 hours, we've seen so many memes. There's been a lot of discussion, but I think the discussions, for the most part, have not been productive. People are still focusing on the name change from Facebook to Meta. And I think over the last 24 hours, I think for me, what clicked was there's just been so many things that have kind of come together. We're going to get into it. If this is your first time listening to the Digipreneur FM podcast, my name is Karan Rose, and I'm an online business strategist, and I help Caribbean entrepreneurs build their digital presence and monetize their platforms. And we have a lot of fun in the process doing that. First and foremost, I want to let you guys know that we are in the middle of a 3-part workshop series called the Digipreneur Foundations. The first workshop was last week, October, what was that date? That was October 23rd, where we went into getting you started with building a website that was e-commerce ready and blog ready, and showing you how to integrate the payment gateways available to us here in the Caribbean. And then this Saturday, tomorrow, October 30th, we're going to be diving into learning how to do your own digital market research. That way, you can get familiar with some of the tools. You can start to pull in data to help guide your business and your marketing strategies and give you a deeper understanding as to what is happening within your industry in your specified country that you want to operate in. And then on November 6th, next week, Saturday, we wrap up the 3-part workshop series teaching you how to create an epic blog on your platform, how to create the content on your website that will allow you to become a thought leader, allow your work to become Googleable, and then we're going to show you how to optimize the work that you put out on your platform so that whether that be a written blog, whether that be an audio post, whether that be videos, we're going to be diving into how to optimize it and also the images as well, and then show you how to distribute the content from your website onto the social media platforms and the different ways that you can distribute your content on digital platforms outside of just social media. So Digipreneur Foundations, you guys can check it out. The link to that workshop series is going to be in the show notes. And you will also be able to see the replays as well. It's going to be a live workshop, and then you have access to the replays if you happen to miss the workshop and you do want to participate. So you can have access to the replays, all right? So now that we got that out the way, Facebook makes a major announcement. And honestly, I think what this means, or what it means to me, this episode is really my first impressions of the big Facebook announcement. I am by no means an expert at all of the things that we are about to talk about, I don't think anybody is. I don't think anybody globally is an expert as to exactly what is happening because the technology is so new. What we do have a lot of is we have experts in a particular field. Like virtual reality, augmented reality. These things are new, so we have experts in specific fields. But where I don't think we have experts on is how does this all work together? What are the new business models? What are the new things that, all of these technologies combined are going to allow us to do? And that is where, I want to take this conversation, and again, just give my first impressions. And again, the reason I say, don't take this as gospel is because I think everybody is still trying to wrap their mind around how all of these individual technologies can come together to change the entire landscape. Because bet your bottom dollar, the announcements made yesterday, to me, what that signaled was the official mainstream start of Web 3.0, where everything is decentralized. Social commerce is a thing. Like, there's just so much that the Facebook announcement has signaled. So when they made the announcement, I was busy. I was on the road. I just seen the memes come in, and the conversation, the majority of the conversation that I seen online was simply surface level, focusing on just a name change. Oh, Mark Zuckerberg changed the name from Facebook to Meta. They're going to be trading under Metaverse. And, everybody's clowning it and they're making their memes. No problem. Cool. We all enjoy a laugh. But I don't think people really, looked further than just, hey, he's doing a name change because they're under scrutiny in the courts. I think everything's kind of happening all at once, right? Where, people are looking at the Facebook name change just from the controversial side that, he's in courts about data privacy and protections again and yada, 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 and data leaks and whistleblowers are coming out and, you can't just name change and we're going to forget everything about it. There's that, but I don't think people decided to look just one step further than that. When the announcements were made yesterday, he dove into the branding of Facebook, and he straight up was like, the reason that we needed to have this name change is because we have been Facebook, like the overall entity has been Facebook, right? So everybody knows, Instagram is a product of Facebook. WhatsApp is a product of Facebook. Oculus, product of Facebook. And he's like, but we are now more than Facebook. And I don't want to have all of these new products and services limit your thinking to just how it works in the context of Facebook. And he needed to have a brand refresh to expand what your thinking is of where we are today. Because remember, when people hear the word Facebook, Facebook has been around for so long, we understand Facebook. And because a lot of the new products and technologies and things coming out under the Facebook umbrella, people haven't really figured out how it works in the context of Facebook. I thought Facebook is the place where we send friend requests to family and friends. What do you mean? There's now cryptocurrency and there's marketplaces, augmented, like. People are still trying to fit in all of these new things in the context of Facebook. So what Mark really did is say Facebook itself is a product, but we are now beyond that. We are now in a completely bigger and different world. Facebook is just one thing. Facebook is one silo. And there's all of these things that participate outside of Facebook that we are involved in. And we need to start getting you guys to understand how all of these things work outside of Facebook. They will work with Facebook. They will work inside of Facebook. But you have to start thinking about these things outside of the context of what you know Facebook is today. And that is really where that brand change had to happen. I get it. I get that. All right. I get that. Even for me, on a personal level, when I had my business Droid Island and I was Mr. Droid and people knew me for that, when I got to the point where more people came to me asking me, hey, how did you build Droid Island? How did you do particular things, processes within Droid Island, right? I could not just show up as Mr. Droid, the Android guy, now teaching you how to do e-commerce. Just for you, the audience, to wrap your mind around it. Where is this Android guy coming from teaching me how to do e-commerce, how to build my digital presence, how to do digital marketing? Isn't he just the Android guy? If I showed up as Droid Island everywhere I went, most people wouldn't understand the context of what I do, because they would be still trying to fit me into that box of just being the Android guy or being the smartphone guy. So dropping the moniker of, Mr. Droid and not doing the work that I do under Droid Island and coming of age with me just being the Karen Rose, the digiboss, the digital guy, the online business strategist. At least now when people hear my name, they no longer put me into the box of being the smartphone guy. Right? And I mean, I'm going to evolve, and at some point people are going to see me as somebody different, that I do different things, especially with all these new technologies coming out, right? And the tagline or the title of online business strategist, for me right now gives you enough to kind of, put some context into what I do. And that is what Facebook has done. That is what Zuckerberg has done, but obviously at a much bigger scale, right? He is now trying to show us that there is now a metaverse. There is a digital universe that they are creating. And we just need to start thinking about things outside of just Facebook. So the name change isn't about just rebranding because of legal issues or what's happening in the press. Take one step further, and he is now telling you that Facebook is just one thing. We are now creating a suite of different technologies that surpass Facebook. And I don't want you to think about it in just the context of what you know of Facebook today, right? So that is the backdrop of where they are, right? And the thing that it did for me, the thing that the Facebook announcement did for me immediately was it not only signaled Web 3.0 as now being mainstream, but because it signals that, it now puts all of these new technologies and ideologies and strategies, it now puts them mainstream so that the everyday person is now going to do their research, because they're going to start seeing these things in their day-to-day lives, and they're going to want to understand it. So that is huge. That is huge. And it takes a company like Facebook, the largest social media network, to be able to do this and make these new technologies for Web 3.0 and make it mainstream. So that is major. Not everybody, could do that, because I think everything prior to yesterday's announcement has still kind of operated in a silo. You are hearing terms like cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency, we're barely getting started with cryptocurrency, even though it's been around for quite some time. We're hearing a lot more about it in the news, and we're hearing its own controversies, but people still don't understand what cryptocurrency is. I'm not a crypto expert. I'm now trying to learn crypto and again see the use case scenarios, right? But again, in what Facebook did yesterday, crypto made a bit more sense. When you hear about things like augmented reality, again, what on earth is augmented reality? We've seen Apple, bring out games over the past two iterations of iPhones, and they have, shown demonstrations of augmented reality in their presentations. Huawei has done it as well, but it still has never really gone mainstream. Facebook, when they made their announcements with changing the way how we are going to experience the workplace, how we are going to experience the events, I seen the day-to-day use cases of augmented reality and virtual reality. And again, it made more sense. So the average person now, again, will be able to start to do their homework now. And because it is now entering that mainstream phase, and I'm not talking about, the individual products, because Mark straight up said that, hey, we have products coming out in phases. Like we have Quest is out here. Quest is going to be, upgrading, and Quest is the virtual reality headset, right? And he straight up said that they want to get to a point where you're going to be wearing, regular everyday glasses, and that will project augmented and virtual reality, and it's going to have speakers, it's going to have sensors, it's going to do all these crazy things, right? So they know where they want to go. They're not there yet. So I'm not saying that, the individual products are mainstream. What I am saying is that the ideologies now, because of what Facebook has announced, will be mainstream now. The ideas of how the new age workplace is going to shape up. The ideas are now mainstream because of that Facebook announcement, and people are going to be trying to figure out, what this all means and how they can participate, and they're going to start to do their research. So again, it takes a company like Facebook to signal this major shift that we are in. So let me talk about, some use case scenarios that I think are going to be relevant to the Caribbean in specifically. I think this is major. Let me drop a bomb on that bad boy. I think this is major news for the Caribbean in so many different ways. And again, we haven't even started to scratch the surface. In the Caribbean, we haven't grasped Web 2.0. We still have people trying to figure out, do I even need a website? So we haven't grasped Web 2.0. And I think one of the biggest fears that I have right now is because we have not grasped Web 2.0 and we were already 10 years behind, this is going to now, shatter a lot of people. But it's also going to give the people who do their homework and become early adopters and wrap their head of minds this quickly. This is going to create generational wealth that we have never been able to do ever. Because now it's no longer about where you live. So remember, in the Caribbean, right? Perspective. In the Caribbean, we have always migrated for opportunities. The brain drain happens because we've always had to migrate for opportunities. I was born in Trinidad. I was only here for a couple of weeks. My mom brought me over to Canada, and I lived in Canada for 29 years, right? So we have always had to migrate for opportunities and for a better living. But now with Web 3.0, it's no longer going to matter where you live, because you are going to be able to participate in opportunities anywhere in the world. You're going to be able to have experiences from anywhere in the world. And what crypto would allow you to do, and I think this is where Ethereum is going to play a major role, is crypto will allow us to have a means to pay or transact things without the worry about the banks or the central banks and the exchange rate. We will have one decentralized form of payment of currency. So I could pay anybody anywhere in the world, and we have that means of exchange, right? For lack of a better term. So let's talk about a couple use case scenarios. So how will augmented reality change the workplace and open up opportunities to work for anybody from anywhere? Augmented reality is going to give you a digital presence in any workplace in the world. You can now work with experts or companies from anywhere, and you won't always need to fly them in or you fly out to be a part of the project. So if you are living in Jamaica, or you're living in St. Lucia, Barbados, and you are a expert in, whatever your space is, if you take an opportunity in Taiwan, you could appear virtually, and again, you could have a virtual or augmented reality presence to make it feel like you are there, rather than you just jumping on a Zoom and you staring at a 2D screen. There's a lot of things that you miss. Interactions with people, the facial recognitions, the gestures, the virtual tours. There's a lot of things that you miss because a 2D screen isn't enough to bring you really into the room or bring you really into the project for you to really understand what is happening within a particular space. So removing the barriers of that 2D screen and now bringing you into the room to have a better idea of the human gestures or emotions that they are displaying is going to increase the connection that we have, because the virtual, being virtual isn't going anywhere, right? Remote work isn't going anywhere, but remote work needs to improve. We can't Zoom all day, every day. Like we miss a lot of the nuances. And I think where augmented reality and virtual reality and you having an avatar, I think that is the next level, right? So remember, there's nothing going to be stopping you from flying out to these countries. But in the event you can't fly out to these countries and be there because of whatever the reason, you being able to appear in an augmented reality room to increase the connection with your peers, but then also to have a better understanding as to what is happening. Let's just say you are taking a tour of a facility. For you to have a immersive 3D augmented reality virtual world of a facility you are touring is completely different than what happens right now. If you are doing drop shipping and you want to tour a facility in China, right now what they do is you log into one of those robots on wheels that have the screen and a camera, and you control the little robot and you turn it left, you turn it right, you go forward, you go backward, but it's a 2D screen you are watching it from. So you're still not able to experience the factory beyond just that 2D screen. So now with where they're trying to go and where Web 3.0 is trying to go is you having a virtual experience of that entire facility. You being able to walk, talk with the other avatars, and they want to get so good to really express the emotions and your gestures and all that good stuff. But then you actually see the facility as best as you can. So that could replace, that would replace you watching a facility from a 2D perspective, right? So again, nothing stopping you from flying out and going there. But then if you can't do that, this would be the next best thing. And this is going to be common practice soon enough, right? If, again, remote working isn't going anywhere And trying to do team things via, again, just a 2D screen is hectic. So the workplace is going to change. You're going to be able to, see documents with augmented reality, participate with your coworkers in this virtual space. And I think that is going to now make remote working even better. So I don't think we're at the point where virtual and AR replaces real world. Like I think, part of people's hesitance is they think that now that these things are going to be coming mainstream, that's going to replace, everything that we do in person. Like we're just no longer going to live in the real world. Everything will be virtual. And I don't think that is on the table anytime soon. I don't think anything replaces human connection, human touch. There are things that you need to experience, in real life. However, I think the hybrid approach is now coming of age, is now starting to scratch the surface, and is going to allow us to do, things that we never even imagined before. And remote working in a virtual or an augmented reality, I think, is going to be 1,000,000 times better than you remote working from Zoom and Teams, right? So there's that. Next, this Facebook meta discussion. The next thing I think it's going to bring into the mainstream is the commerce side of things. So we have been hearing a hell of a lot about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and people, still haven't, really understood what an NFT is. And again, I'm no expert. I'm learning with you. But here is my understanding. And I mean, again, I'm all for the conversation. I'm all for the correction. I'm all for people, reaching out in the comments or the DMs and correcting me if I'm wrong. But basically, when you have a non-fungible token, it essentially means that it is unique. It is one of a kind. It is not interchangeable. When you have something that is fungible, it means it is exchangeable. It is indifferent. You will not notice the difference if it was changed. So I guess a good example would be money. If I have a $1 bill and you have a $1 bill, money is fungible because if I give you, if we throw down, if we put down our two $1 bills on the table, you can't distinguish one from the other, right? It is interchangeable. It is not original. You won't be able to tell, what is what, all right? And the value remains the same. $1 is $1. But an NFT, when you turn something into a non-fungible token, you now make it one of a kind. So it is unique. The values can change. Supply and demand. If everybody wants, something that, there's only a supply of 10, the value can drive up. Right? Where this big announcement comes into play now is with respects to commerce. Think about this. You now being able to create your artistic work. You could then digitize your artistic work and then turn it into an NFT. Then you could use a platform like Facebook to showcase and sell your work. And when you do that, you can retain the rights to your work. And then what makes NFTs really special is not only is your intellectual property secured, but then let's just say if you take a photo and you showcase it on social media and people want to buy it and they go and purchase your artwork, your digital artwork, if they resell it, you get to control the commissions as to how much, you want to make anytime someone resells your work. And anytime that piece of work is resold, the original author of that work is going to make commission. This is huge. Let's talk about a scenario that happened a couple days ago that has changed the way, and again, made NFTs to me even more mainstream. Because right now, I think people are still, not only do people not understand NFTs, again, I'm not saying I'm an expert, I'm still learning, but what people are seeing on NFTs is they're seeing kids making money off of NFTs, selling pixelated images, selling GIFs. And it's like, why on earth would I pay, like this one kid made a few mil off of selling pixelated whales. And when people hear these stories, they're like, well, what on earth makes this something that I would want to spend money on? What is the value of a pixelated whale? Hell, I thought we were trying to get rid of pixels altogether. We out here buying smartphones with increased resolutions to get away from pixelated anything. Why are we buying pixelated art? And I think that NFTs have gotten so much press on that side of it that it's kind of downplayed the value in people's mind about where NFTs can allow us to go. So let's use an even better example, because this is the best example to date. Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez made a cool $1 million selling his brand new album at $1 a piece in 57 seconds as an NFT. And he has effectively changed the entire music industry in 57 seconds. My goodness. It took years to get here, and the game has changed in 57 seconds. So because he made 1 million copies of his album and sold it at $1, there is only 1 million copies in circulation of his album. So people out here bought, they bought, 20 copies, 100 copies, 500 copies, because remember, each copy, because it's an NFT, it's all individual, right? So there's only X amount in circulation. He will not print anymore. He will not mint anymore, right? When somebody has a CD, so when someone came out with a CD, the record label could always produce more copies. And they could just keep selling and selling and recreating and selling it out. With streaming, you just stream it. There's an unlimited supply. There's no limited amount of stream. It's all online. We stream. There is no limit, right? But now, the record labels, for the most part, have always made the money because they control your distribution, the rights to your music. By the time you as the artist, put out your work, with all of the things that have to happen for your music to be produced and put out there and distributed, when it was all said and done, the artists made next to no money. And they were essentially slaves to the music industry. Then, they started to go to independent labels, and then we got into things like YouTube, where again, the distribution is there. You can get your music out there. You can go to a streaming company, get your music up onto the streaming companies, but there's still a middleman. There's still a middleman that is taking the lion's share of the money that you make, whether it is the record companies, whether it is YouTube, whether it is the streaming services like Spotify, Tidal. Those companies are the ones making the money. They are the ones making the lion's share of all the money. And you have artists who can only tour, and that is where they make their money. Or they do other things outside of music, but they use the fame that they have built off of the music industry to get into other ventures, and that is where they make their money. And then they get to a point where they're like, yo, I ain't making no money off of music. Why would I make music? I done built my name. You think Rihanna's making music again? We would be shocked. Kanye's making music because Kanye is experimenting. Kanye is experimenting and using his music as an avenue, as a traffic driver or a lead generation tool to the things that he is experimenting with. So Kanye's not making music to make music anymore. Kanye's making music as a lead generation tool to the products and platforms and things that he controls, people. So, what NFTs are going to represent? And let's get back to Tory Lanez. So, only 1 million copies are in circulation of Tory Lanez album, right? So, as I said before, with streaming services, it's unlimited. With like CDs and stuff like that, it could always be reproduced, right? But as an NFT, there is only 1 million copies of his album in circulation, and they're all individual copies. So somebody could have, had $1 million, and they could have bought every single copy. They could have spent $1 million. They could have bought every copy of Tory Lanez off of his album, and then they could have resold the album. Just let's just say $10. They could resell they could have resold the album for $10. And because he owns the rights to the NFT, he could sell it for that price that he chooses and make his money. But then Tory Lanez still retains his rights to the music, and then he would make commission, whatever the commission is that he set on the NFT. He would make a percentage of every single sale from here until thy kingdom come. That is how he has changed the entire industry in 57 seconds. He's the first artist to do this. Make 1 million copies as an NFT, sell it for $1. And obviously people want to go and buy it because they know that they could resell the album and they could make money. So social commerce is here with NFTs. Because now we can purchase things, we can make money, and the original creator is going to be credited for their work and still make money off of their work from here until doomsday. This is how NFTs are changing the entire industry. So that's not just music. That is for anything that we could digitize. Anything we can digitize can be sold as an NFT. So this is where the learning has to happen. So we gotta, shift away from thinking of NFTs as just kids selling pixelated art. And we wondering why on earth is that happening? Pixelated art is like trading cards. We would sell trading cards, basketball cards, sports cards, Pogs. People sold those things. There's a community that values that, and people would sell it. But when Pokemon cards made their stuff, again, they could always reprint. They could always reprint more cards and make a couple rare cards and with a limited amount. And the limited amount is what drove the value up of those particular cards, right? So now with NFTs, when you mint something as an NFT and you say there's only X amount in circulation, people can purchase it and they could trade amongst themselves and set their own prices, but the original creator is still going to make money. So moving past, just the music, the Caribbean artists now has some real opportunities ahead of them. So let's check this out. There is now a blueprint. Tory Lanez has given us a blueprint of what this looks like and what can happen for us here in the Caribbean. This means that you don't need to figure out how to get signed by a company overseas to be able to make money or get your work out there or to be able to hit a main stage. Learning how to build your digital presence to attract your audience, then creating virtual experiences using VR and AR can help the smallest artists right up to the biggest artists. And then you can start to blend both the in-person and virtual experiences to create a hybrid experience. You could create virtual concerts, hybrid concerts, and expand your reach globally and no longer limit yourself to a country. You no longer have to limit yourself to a currency. And you no longer have to limit yourself to a venue limit. So an artist now can make their music, release their music as an NFT, be credited anytime people resell your work, and they make some money on reselling your work, and you will always make your money when you have released your music as an NFT. So your intellectual property is there. But then, because of social media and Google, your website, because of all of these things, you have direct control over building your own presence. And if you can build your own presence, and you can now bring people into your world, release music as an NFT so that your intellectual properties is saved, and then you learn, how do I create access? How do I create access to me? How do I give fans what they want? How can I create intimate, small, virtual settings where, let's just say I'm in the studio and I want people to see me creating the music. So I sell a behind the scenes pass as an NFT, and I release 10 spots. I released 10 tickets to let people in. These 10 ticket holders, and we convert these tickets as an NFT. So there's only 10 unique tickets in the world. And I let these 10 people come in and watch me create music. You could imagine what that does in terms of building the scarcity for the product. You could imagine what that does when you grow the value of that ticket. So just imagine, right? You want to protect the new music. You don't want any and everybody to be able to come in to see you produce your work. Kanye did something like this, where when he was doing Donda, remember, he had the studio, and however many people he brought into the venue, those are basically listening sessions for him to fine-tune the music and see what worked, what didn't work, and he used real-time crowd feedback to figure out, how he wanted to produce the album. So just imagine now, you create a small, intimate setting. You have your digital tickets. You turn them into an NFT. So there's only 10 people that could access the behind the scenes. And just imagine those NFTs are around from here until whenever. And whenever you are creating music, those whoever has those 10 passes can come in and be in that virtual experience with you in the studio watching you make the music. You can imagine how many people are going to be spending millions of dollars just to get into the virtual room with you to watch you create the music? It's insane. But that is a real life example of what can happen right now and what is going to happen in the future. So Caribbean artists will now be able to create intimate settings where they can, bring their audience in. Right? So you can show us how you create the music. You can show us what those producing sessions are like. And again, you can still protect the new music, because now you could say, hey, I'm only going to mint 1,000 tickets. I only want 1,000 people watching the behind the scenes, and that's protected. And then if they resell those tickets, well, guess what? You're still making money, which will allow you, which will incentivize you to start doing more behind the scenes sessions, because now you're getting paid for those things, and now you could produce more of those intimate sessions. All right. Then when it comes to the events. Not everybody, especially now with COVID, travel has changed. We know that. But that doesn't mean we don't want the music. We still want the experience. So when you start doing hybrid events, people can still join in to a virtual experience or an augmented reality experience. And you could still make your money and extend your reach beyond you just throwing a party in Miami and hitting the stage in Miami. So the things that we can do with respects to AR, VR, NFTs, and then now you throw in the mix, cryptocurrency. And again, Ethereum is the one that's being used primarily digitally to pay for goods and services online. That takes away the exchange of different currencies, or some people can't pay you because they can't get money from China to the US, and that takes those things away. A currency that isn't in the system. It works outside of the central banking system, and that is what you guys are using to conduct your business. So that's huge, right? And this is where, again, Caribbean artists don't need to fly out to the U.S. to try to get signed. The reason why you wanted to get signed was because you wanted to get your music out there to a larger audience. You wanted to make the money. But now when you can build your own digital presence, you can create your own experience, you can create your own NFTs for your music, for the tickets, and create different types of experiences, and you can create this business around you. This is going to negate you ever needing to fly out to a country to work with one of the record labels. You now are going to retain the rights to your music, to your creative work, but then you're also going to make the lion's share of the money. So this has changed, and this is why what Tory Lanez did with his music is it has changed the entire game, because it's now given everybody a blueprint. And for Caribbean artists, this signals that you no longer need to go and work with a U.S. company or a company in the U.K. to be known, to sell. You can do all of those things right from here. This is also going to allow us now to get into virtual tourism using the creative industry. So let's touch on that. So, NFTs as tickets. Let me give you one more example of NFTs as a tickets. And again, this is just me brainstorming. Hey, this is me brainstorming, people. This is me just, thinking about different ways that these things can be used that are coming to my mind when I heard Facebook's announcement and all the different products and services. My mind started to think about just use case scenarios for us in the region. So NFT as a ticket. Let's say Tribe decides to throw an event. They mint 1,000 tickets. They don't need to worry about scalping, right? They don't have to worry about scalping, because we know when you go to Caribbean parties and festivals, scalping has always been a thing. But now, if all of our tickets are minted as an NFT, they are all non-fungible. They are all unique. A ticket before, the reason why scalping could have worked was because the tickets all look the same. They are interchangeable. So if I scalp and if I fraud the ticket as best as possible, I could pull wool over somebody's eyes and you would be out of money. All right. But now with a virtual ticket that's minted as an NFT, you can't scalp it. You can't reproduce it. They are all unique. That removes scalping. That puts more money back into people's pockets who are throwing events, right? So they mint 1,000 tickets. They don't worry about scalping. And then the value of that ticket for the event can increase over time. So we know that Tribe has, their signature events. They have Tribe Ignite. They have Tribe Ice. They have, the parade. So we know that they have these things, right? So let's just say they put out 1,000 tickets to Tribe Ignite, and this is a recurring event every year. If they sell the ticket at whatever the price, and then people resell it and they sell it at a higher value because we do that already. We know that they're going to print, a 1,000 tickets, physical tickets, right? We know scalpers are going to scalp and do their thing, and they're going to make their money. But then remember, Tribe is going to lose money with more scalpers, people who have paid for fake tickets getting into the events. So if they turn 1,000 tickets into an NFT, they get rid of the scalpers. But then if people decide to resell that ticket at a higher price, that person can still make their money, but then Tribe still makes commission off of the resale of the ticket. You see how that changes so much for us? Tribe could always say, listen, Bliss, we want to have a private event. They have their upscale Bliss carnival, and we want to do, private events. And we could always say we only ever want 1,000 people because we want this to be an exclusive event, or 500 people. This is going to be the exclusive of exclusive events. And it will always remain exclusive because you can't get into the event. But then the tickets are going to go up in value, and then when they are resold, the original owner of the tickets of the NFT are still going to make commission off of those tickets being resold. That's huge, man. That's huge. So let me give you another example, right? Of how, this whole entire, metaverse of products and services and technologies and ideologies. Here's another way I think it could help the Caribbean. AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality could give Caribbean countries the opportunities to showcase more of the country. It can showcase various experiences. Think about this. Imagine paying for a virtual nature tour. So you want to visit St. Lucia, or you want to visit Tobago, you want to visit Grenada, right? And you decide before you go and purchase a plane ticket to go, you decide to do an augmented reality tour, virtual reality tour of, a hike that you see in St. Lucia. You want to go to the Jade Mountains. The Jade Mountains, as of right now, can only be experienced if you physically go there. And everybody will always say, and we say this for almost anything, a picture never does a place justice. So for most people, a picture may not be enough to convince you to go. Now, in come AR and VR. What if you sign up and you do a virtual reality tour of the Jade Mountains, and you experience a fully immersed world of the Jade Mountains, and you see it and everything feels so real that you can touch? That can help drive the physical tourism. Because after I've experienced the VR, the augmented reality, well, damn, I need to go to the Jade Mountains now. I need to go there like yesterday. I want to experience the real thing. And so now this is going to allow companies to start creating these experiences and showing off unique parts of the geography, unique parts of the landscape, festival experiences, and people can experience these things in an immersive world. And then when they finish that is going to increase the appetite for them to want to experience it in real life. Because the reality is, I don't care to watch Carnival on TV. That would never appeal to me. Would never appeal to me. All right? As far as I'm concerned, I need to go wine and jam, and I can only do that in person. All right? You trying to sell me an experience of watching a story of whatever our stories are, and me watching it on TV, I don't really care. I'm not that interested. However, if there is an element of virtual reality and augmented reality, and you can create an immersive experience of a story, let's just say you're telling the tales of the riots that are that have happened, or the whatever the experience is, right? If you now bring me into a story, if you bring me into an immersive story, you would have gotten my money and educated me on something that I probably would have never cared to experience. Because if you're telling me to fly into Trinidad to come and watch old Kaiso and learn the history, I'm not that interested. However, if you turn this into an experience and I do it virtually, you have a higher chance of me saying, yo, well, damn, I want to see this in person. But then again, maybe in person, you might not have been able to tell that story the way that you would virtually. You see where this is going? So we are still trying to talk about packaging our culture. And we want to package it and sell it to Netflix. Man, half these people don't care because we don't want to watch it on a 2D screen and we're not that interested in the history. But we are interested in the experiences. So even if I may not fly in to go and learn the history, if you are telling me, hey, we have an experience of the riots, a virtual reality experience of this and this happening, $10. And I say, well, all right, well, let me go check this out. There's a higher chance of me doing that than one, watching it on YouTube or watching it on Netflix or paying a fee to watch it, on whatever streaming platform. The chances of that happening are very low for a lot of the millennials and younger. Because we're not that interested. Many of us are not that interested in the history, but we are interested in the experiences. So now the goal needs to be, how do the older folks that have all of the knowledge, the experiences, and the storytelling, how do you blend that and turn that into an immersive experience for the younger generation to want to join that initiative? And if you do that, this is where again the ideologies and the things that Meta has talked about that they want to bring to the real world. This is where this all changes for the Caribbean now. Because now we're going to be able to package our culture in a way that is an experience that people globally will be able to now experience. And you don't just have to fly in to experience it. You can't replace a wine and jam. I'm sorry. I need to bubble on somebody girl child. And for people who are not in the Caribbean, we're not talking about children. That's just a slang that we say. I want to bubble on somebody's daughter. And there's nothing yet that I've seen that is going to take away the physical touch and contact. So if I want to party, if I want to drink, if I want to jam, there's no virtual reality experience that is going to replace that. I will fly in for that. However, if you're talking about storytelling and packaging culture, I don't want to watch it on a 2D screen. You need to now create an experience for me to want to be able to do that. And I think everything that Meta has talked about, that is the gateway to doing that. And that is how this entire thing is going to change the Caribbean as long as we are ready. Web 2.0, we did not grasp. We still are not grasping Web 2.0. We're going to need everybody to up their game and start learning how Web 3.0 can work for the culture, because the tools, the strategies, the methods of payments, the commerce, the social commerce, all of these things are going to reshape how people interact with the Caribbean. And we are already in the greatest shift of wealth, the greatest transfer of wealth in the history. 2020 has made more millionaires than ever before, and 2021 has already surpassed that. There's opportunities here. We need to be ready. Folks, that is my episode on my first thoughts on the Facebook Meta discussion and how it can impact the Caribbean. Thank you. Follow me on social media, Karen Rose everywhere. You can check out my KarenRose.com website. Don't forget to subscribe to that website and also the digipreneur.fm website. That's it from me today, folks. I hope this discussion was enjoyable. Jump in the comments, let me know what you guys thought. Reach out. Let's have that conversation, because the only way we're going to grow is together. And we have to keep pushing each other and helping each other learn how we can build using all of these tools and how we can monetize. That's it from me. Take care.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Karan Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Karan Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.